Welcome to Orange County Power Players, where we spotlight the personal, professional, and financial success stories of OC's top leaders. Here's your host, Danny Flores.
Welcome back to OC Power Players, where I interview some of the most successful people in Orange County. I'm Danny Flores, your host, and today's honored guest is Jami Eidsvold, zooming in from the Orange Circle in Orange County. Jami is the founder and CEO of Smarty Social, a full-service social media agency based in Southern California. With over 20 years of experience in digital marketing, she specializes in social media and influencer marketing, particularly within the healthcare industry. Jami launched Smarty in 2013 as a solo venture and has since grown it into a 30-plus person agency recognized for its innovation, results-driven approach, and industry-leading programs such as Smarty Intel and the Smarty Social Academy. Under her leadership, Smarty has become a go-to agency for both major healthcare corporations and disruptive medical device startups. The agency has earned numerous accolades, including placement on the Inc. 5000 list, Ad Age's Social Media Campaign of the Year, and recognized by the medical, marketing, and media as a woman of distinction. Jami is also a sought-out active speaker and trainer, having led sessions at the American Association of Orthodontists, Align Technology Summits, and Women in Ortho. She's committed to mentorship and education, running internship programs and speaking at universities and conferences to empower the next generation of social media professionals. Jami, thank you so much for coming on. That's pretty impressive, from solopreneur to 30 plus people in your enterprise. Tell us, how did this come about and how did you grow your business so quick and so fast?
Yeah, well, it's been a long ride, but I started off in the agency world for many years. And when I got pregnant with my first son, who actually just graduated from high school this past year,
Congratulations.
I was kind of sitting back going, gosh, like the agency world isn't built for women, especially women working moms. And I really was working all these crazy hours, and this is before it was popular to work remote. And I sat there and I said, man, there's got to be a better way. And I had a lot of friends that were going through the same thing. They were becoming moms and they were having to give up their careers in marketing because it was so demanding. And so I thought, I'm just going to start my own thing. And I started consulting and kind of offering up my services as a consultant. I did it from the bedroom of my house. And it was right at the time when sort of blogging and the first internet influencers were coming to be. And at the time I had started working with a couple of medical device companies that were looking to tap bloggers to market their different products or treatments. And as I started working with them, I kind of learned sort of the world of social media, and it was just like this perfect time and place where these bloggers I was working with were like, your company should be on Twitter. And, Facebook was just kind of coming into the market, and it was just right place, right time. I just started to get busier and busier. And then I started bringing all these other moms that wanted to start consulting businesses. So like for the first, I'd say 5 or 6 years, it was me and a bunch of amazing, talented other mom friends that started to band together, and we built a little network of consultants. And there was, in 2013, I had so many different consultants working under me that I was like, why not just start an agency?
Yeah.
And that's how it all began.
That's exciting. It's interesting how I get a chance to meet a lot of entrepreneurs, and everybody has a different story, and everybody's story is unique. It's exciting, how it kind of came about. Now you're at 2013 and you become an official agency, right?
Yeah.
So how did you know? Because part of the growing pains and having your own business is, how did you grow that and learn what to do, what not to do, and build something successful?
Yeah, I always tell people I think I'm an accidental entrepreneur and agency owner. It wasn't something that I had ever thought I would want to do. It wasn't a dream of mine. Um,
Yeah.
so when I first started it, I literally didn't even know what to do. I went onto like LegalZoom and I opened up
Yeah. Yeah.
business. I got a business license and I really didn't know how to run a business. So the first thing I did was I found really great advisors and fractional kind of help from like the HR front, the accounting front, and just kind of like learned a little bit as I went. And I think the best thing that I did was as I started to kind of get a little bit busier, I was doing everything. And like from invoicing to, keeping track of like the different state rules for businesses and things like that. And so my first hire, and she still works for me today, was a head of operations. And
Okay.
kind of was like, okay, you do all the things that I'm not good at, and I'll
Right. Right.
and like be the trailblazer in the business. And I think that was probably the smartest decision that I ever made.
Yeah. They say, I read a lot of books, and one of the ones that I love the most is a book called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell.
Yes, I love Dan Martell.
Right. And I think one of the biggest hurdles as entrepreneurs is to peel off the layers, but the right ones that are going to give us the time back to do where we excel the most.
Yep.
Right? And building the business, being the visionary, not getting stuck in that minute detail.
Yes.
And that's a difficult layer to peel off because you get used to doing it. Right? Like you said, you wear all these hats. And it's like, how do you give them up? And you're like, oh, are they going to do it right? Are they going to make mistakes? How do I train them? That kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
How did you overcome that? Because it seems like you've been doing that, right? You hired the first one, you got back your time from doing the invoicing thing that you didn't want to do, and then I'm sure you've made other hires that have opened up your desk and your plate to do more.
Yeah, I will say, especially starting off as a consultant, like a solo entrepreneur, like you have to really realize like how much your time is worth and what you can charge for that time. And then when you break up your day, I would always do this assessment, like, I don't know, whenever I would start to get a little bit burnt out of like where all my time was going. And I would list, like literally spend like look over 2 weeks and say, where did all my time go? And
Right.
and then I would figure out if I paid somebody X amount of dollars, then I have X more hours that I can charge, a higher
Right.
rate
Yeah.
for. And I just had to really commit to making those decisions and investments. And sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. But
Right.
you really don't know until you say, oh, okay, so this chunk of my time can be given to somebody else at a lower hourly rate. And you give it and you hand it off, and you can kind of have to give them the ownership with enough, like, as long as they understand the vision and like for me, the values of like always kind of being excellent at what we do and all of those things, then I think then it becomes a level of trust, and then, trusting people to
Right.
kind of take it and do it in their own way, and sometimes
Yeah.
better than the way I would do it also.
Yeah. Yeah. You hire somebody smarter than us, right?
Yeah, that's
That's
always
a
the best
trick.
thing.
Yeah.
I always believe that is to hire people that are smarter than me and more talented in areas that I'm not.
Right.
And I think that's the other key is hiring smart. Most of the people that I've built my little network around are people that I've worked with and trust for many, many years. And I think that's also important is, putting the energy in hiring the right people.
Right.
And making sure their values are aligned with yours going into it, I think is
Right.
also an
Right.
important part.
So that's the operational part of the business. Now,
Mhm.
as when you started, I mean, the internet and the influencers have changed, right? The go-to platforms and the way you post on the platform. How did you learn all of that as
Yeah.
things changed to be effective, I guess, at the end of the day for your clients?
Yeah. I think, the other thing that was super important was deciding on a niche really early on and realizing you can't do all things for all people. So when I first started my agency, I had a client, Align Technology, who makes Invisalign, the invisible clear braces.
Right.
And I learned early on how to do social media for a company like that that's regulated. They're regulated by the FDA. So there's only certain things you can and can't do on social media, and there are very strict regulations around that. So I spent my time learning a very specific niche of doing social media and influencer marketing for companies that are dealing with that kind of tight regulation. So it became a specialty. And they're still a client of mine today. And I just kind of doubled down on that and said, you know, I'm not going to try to be a social media agency that does all of these sexy consumer goods brands or real estate or anything. It was like, this is what I'm going to do. I know how to do it. And
Right.
then kind of built a team that had that same expertise.
Yeah.
I think that's what has helped us grow, is like we have something that we're known for, that we can do really well and that we're confident in, and not going after the bright, shiny object, and just
Right.
really true to that. And then it became like, as new platforms came around, like again, learning that how do you play, like when TikTok came around,
Right.
every healthcare company I was working with was like, we need to be on TikTok, but it's a really hard platform to monitor. So kind of taking on new platforms in safe and compliant ways for our clients
Right.
became like our specialty. And
Wow.
that's how I've been able to kind of keep the box around everything and like do really well at one thing, you know?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that makes sense, because if you try to do it all in every different industry has different regulations, you kind of dilute yourself a little bit,
Exactly.
and you might miss something that might get you guys in trouble or your
Right.
clients in trouble. So why not become an expert in one
Mhm.
and just be really good at that?
Yeah. And then, you know, that the industry, especially in Orange County, and California, the medical technology industry, the biotechnology industry is really strong here. So much of our client business comes from referrals, because we did a really good job with another client, and someone on their board sits on another board. And so the word of mouth that comes with that is also, I think, really important. Because I don't sell like generic cookie cutter digital marketing packages. We do custom solutions for our clients.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's really interesting, and especially if we can help, if your services help grow for these individual companies,
Right.
who's not going to talk about it,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And from what I understand, every business should be on social media, I think.
Yeah.
It's like free advertising, but it's not really free, because
not
you
really
have to pay your production team to produce your. I mean, it's free basically to put it on, but without a production team, you can't have anything of quality.
Hmm. And I think also the other key is like educating people as we go that, you know, for a lot of our clients, we have to understand how to use social media for very specific business objectives. And so many people will say, oh, as many impressions and as many likes and as many views that you can get. And for some businesses that works for brand awareness. But when you're talking about specific healthcare or different like treatments or different disease states or things like that, it's all about targeting and getting your message to the right people, and what action do you want them to take. So it's a different approach.
Right.
And I think that's where we've been able to really kind of stand out from the rest.
Now, if a business is looking for social media advertising, and maybe not necessarily in the business you're in, just in any business, because this would be a question for that everybody at one point is going to be asking themselves: how do they go about finding the right team and partners to take care of the social media, that's to send them in the right direction? Because you said earlier, it's not about how many people and how many likes. It really isn't, and I think I agree with you on that. It's hitting that right audience that you're targeting.
Yeah. I think there's two things. I think number one, if you have a very specific industry, then try to find a specialist that knows the industry very well. And I think, you know, a lot of times the generalists in social media don't focus. They kind of do, they don't have a really focused approach to the marketing or strategy. So I think finding people that really know your industry well is number one, really important. And then number two, asking them to show you where they've actually gotten business results. And like to be able to walk you through true case studies with similar businesses in your industry and how they drove results. And really being able to communicate that, I think will kind of tell you if you've got the right partner or not. And I actually advocate with all of our clients that the person actually managing and running your socials should be within your company. So, and then you outsource to an agency things like the advertising and the content production and things like that. But I think somebody internally needs to take charge of your social media. So there should be somebody in charge of it internally versus just asking an agency to run with it. I think that makes a big difference. And that's why I started the Social Academy really early on, because I was finding out that like a lot of our clients, they're really smart across their business and in marketing in general, but there wasn't an subject matter expert internally that really could understand like your agency is only going to be as good as the information that you give them and how you partner with them. So I started the academy to actually train our clients on like social media and the executives there to understand how it works. And then for our specific clients, they're doctors that are also marketing on their behalf. So I think it's important to have someone internally that can champion it and work with their agency partner as well.
Tell us a little about the Social Academy. Is that specific for your field? Is that in general for anybody who wants to manage the social media for a company internally?
Yeah, there's a really interesting story to that. When COVID came around, like healthcare has been a pretty, stable industry to be in. Everybody needs healthcare services. But when COVID came around and doctors had to close their practices, a lot of our clients basically said, well, we're not going to market because there's no one to send the patients you're finding on social media to. So we ended up hitting a part in our business where a lot of our clients cut all of their budgets. And I was like, oh my gosh, at that time, I think I had like, I don't know, almost 20 people working for me. And
Oh, that's
I
hard, huh? All of a
so
sudden
hard.
stop.
I had just opened our first office and it was paying the lease. And it literally, COVID happened maybe 5 months after we moved into our first
Oh,
real office.
yeah.
Everybody had to work from home. And I was like, okay, what can we do to pivot? And like, at least we knew that our clients couldn't stop marketing because, at some point in time, the market's going to come back. And so we tried to figure out things that we could offer our clients that would be valuable. And so I came up with the idea for this social academy and told all our clients, like, let's build an academy for all of your healthcare providers. They all need to market their own practices. It's a very important thing for doctors' offices to be able to use social media to reach patients. And I said, since they have time on their hands, I'll train your doctors on how to do social media marketing. And it's kind of a win-win for your doctors who are your customers and for you as a brand because they can continue to do the marketing for you. And so
Hey,
that was like a quick pivot that we made. And I kind of built the academy and marketed it and was able to do that. And also to some of our clients and like say, let's get your executives educated. So it was a place they could put their marketing dollars that would pay back after COVID was over. And that's how it was born.
that's really smart. That's very cool because you're thinking like, okay, I gotta survive, right? And I have my office, I have my lease already. I
Yeah.
have 20 people working for me, I have payroll. I
Yeah.
can't stop, so I gotta figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was really interesting. We ended up like actually making like a lot of assets for doctors to post on their social media during that time. And, we had to turn the advertising for our clients off, but there were still marketing functions we could do in the short
Right.
term. Yeah.
So is your office, do you have like recording studios? Do you have camera people? What is that? What is the operations and how you do all of this look like?
Yeah, so we have offices in downtown Orange, and we actually just opened up right attached to our office a big event and production space. So the backspace serves as like whenever we want to shoot, like do photo shoots or video shoots. We also rent it out to the public for events or meetings. I have a team that does it's structured where we have a team that does strategy. We have a team that does all the creative production and content production, whether that's video or design or copywriting. I have an influencer marketing team. And then our biggest department is actually what we call customer experience. And those are the people that monitor the platforms for our clients because when they're regulated, if they're marketing on social media, you have a responsibility to report to the FDA anything adverse that someone might be saying. So our team kind of monitors 24/7 for our clients and in a compliant way and supports their in-house customer service team. So we have our largest team is actually that team that monitors everything people are saying about our clients on social media.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You would never think, I would never think that you have to watch to stay in compliance.
Yeah, so it is a must-have if you are an FDA regulated company that is marketing on social media to like read all the comments and make sure none of the patients are having some type of adverse event, and you have to report that to the FDA. So
I
yeah,
wonder how many people that are regulated by the FDA know that.
I think they know it, whether or not everybody is compliant. But we work with some pretty large medical device companies, so
Yeah.
it's a big responsibility.
See, that is awesome. See, so if anybody who's listening doesn't know how to watch that, how to keep an eye on that, you can get a hold of Jami here.
Yeah, that's right. And then the last piece of our business is all of the performance marketing. So, like when I talk about the importance of just going beyond the awareness and the impressions, our team really focuses on driving lower funnel objectives on social. So, I call ourselves a social first performance marketing company because, everyone spends so much time on their mobile devices and on social media. But we try to connect the dots. So it's not just one touch at the top to watch a video. We retarget them and get them to learn more or educate them and get them to want to go in and get a certain procedure or know that there's a better way or a better option for care. So that's another big part of our business.
Yeah, that seems very, very refined way of using social media. And I would guess, can you talk about the results that you get in the process? Because it's a very refined process. I'm not a social media person, but I hear, but I've never heard this before. So what does that look like as far as going in there and making these changes in sales for the company, but
Yeah.
new clients? So
It's
patients.
it's very much shifting towards thinking of like omni-channel versus like your traditional funnel where, a customer or a patient journey isn't like linear anymore. It's not like, oh, they're gonna see this and then they're gonna do that and then they're gonna do that because
Right.
some of the things that we're marketing are very long consideration cycles. They're like surgical procedures. They're things that cost a lot of money. And so there has to be a lot of touch points. So we really kind of usually start with our clients at like, what is the lowest funnel action that drives your business? And for a lot of our clients, that's like scheduling an appointment with a doctor, requesting a consultation, things like that. And getting somebody to do that on a first touch is almost impossible, especially if it's like an innovation in healthcare, right? That isn't.
Right. Right.
So we usually start at the very bottom funnel action, and then we build our plan from the bottom up of like if we want to drive people to do these things, what are all the different touch points that come above that?
Oh, okay.
And
So you
then,
reverse engineer it, kind of.
yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and a lot of times I think people just focus on they think social is just the way to bring as many people as possible into the funnel, and they forget that there are a lot of touch points that have to happen after that. So
Yeah.
it's a continual refinement of like, how do we start to make the touch points less and less, or what are some other channels we tap? If we can get a lead early on by watching a video, then email can take over and kind of work them down funnel. But they still have to see those ads in their social media feed to remind
Yeah.
them to be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. And so they all kind of work together, you know.
Are you guys using AI?
We are actually in a very smart and compliant way, I would say. We're doing a lot of experiments, and I think where it's helped us the most is actually internally in our own processes for the real repetitive things.
Right.
And creatively, we've been using it to just really explore ideas. I haven't been able to really see how AI can replace like human creativity. But in terms of exploring like a lot of ideas and bringing in new ideas, it's been something that we've been trying to leverage just across. We have all of our tools have an AI function in them now. So it's continually trying to be like, how can we work smarter, not harder, so that we can actually like bring content to market faster, so that we can learn faster and bring insights. So AI has been like really great in our reporting and analyzing the data and really kind of surfacing certain insights that we can then action upon. Creative ideation has been a big one where AI has really helped us. And then reiteration of creative. So like when you've got something that's really working, then you can give it to AI and say, like, give me 3 other versions that could work or that have similar qualities. So it's more so that we can do more in a smarter and more efficient way.
Right, right.
You know?
Yeah, that's super interesting and how this is all evolving so fast,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you gotta, and it's just not like you said, just not just shoot out from the hip and blast
Yeah.
ads. You gotta be strategic for
Yeah,
your
so
audience.
our approach was I brought in like an AI kind of engineer consultant, and we kind of identify one thing that we think is like really time consuming and could be supported with AI, and then we do like an experiment. And we just try to solve like one problem and see what's the best way to do that and like test it and see like does it impact the quality of the work that we're doing? Does it not? So it's been experiment by experiment. Because
That's yeah,
there are so many things you could do. But
right.
we started at the bottom again in like how our agency operates and are there efficiencies we can do so that like our people aren't caught in processes, and have more time to do the creative thinking and the strategic
Right. Wow, that's amazing.
thinking.
So what, as we wrap up our interview, what does it look like for you for the next 6 to 12 months? What's exciting coming on board?
Yeah. So what I'm really excited about is, we just opened our event and production space here, and we've had some really exciting things come through, but it's going to be my vision is that it will become an extension of our academy where we can actually host like educational events and creative kind of community coming together to talk about what's next. So, the next 12 months, my plan is to start like hosting our own events and our own workshops here. So that's gonna my personal project, because I love teaching and whatnot. And then secondarily is growing out our like whole performance marketing arm, and really there's so many things that are gonna happen now that AI is on board and, and growing, and the way that consumers consume content is changing and evolving in the different media channels. So really kind of trying to explore all the different methods for reaching people and how you can connect all the dots is where we're focusing a lot of our energy, and how we can use AI insights and technology to kind of really build some of those journeys and workflows in smarter ways.
Wow, that is awesome, Jamie. That is such great information, and thank you so much for sharing all those tips and your story and how you began and all these things, wonderful things that you're doing for your clients. Now,
Yeah.
if somebody's listening and they want to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you?
You can definitely find me on LinkedIn. I'm on there every day. Or you can go to smartysocialmedia.com and you can kind of learn a lot more about everything that we do and read some of our case studies and whatnot.
Wow, great. Well, thank you so much for coming on our show. And to our audience, please go to ocpowerplayers.com and follow us on your favorite channel. Thanks so much, Jami.
Thank you for having me.
So, okay. So what we're going to do, it'll take us about 3 weeks to publish. And what we'll do is we'll send you socials, shorts, so you can post on your socials.
Amazing.
And then, thanks for coming on. And so a couple of things I wanted to touch base with. One, we work in the alternative investment space where we have C-suite executives, entrepreneurs come in as investors in the multifamily space, where we're able to give them double-digit returns and great tax benefits. Is that something you'd be interested in exploring or looking at?
I'm always interested in learning how I can
How you can expand? Yeah. Yeah. Would you like me to schedule something for you?
Yeah, can you send me over some information that I could skim through?
Yes. So what I have is so it'll take another meeting, like a 30-minute meeting to give you like a rundown on what we do and how we do it. And then I can hang on a second. I'm trying to pull up my calendar.
It would be probably better for my CFO, who actually also happens to be my husband, to also
Okay.
join.
Yeah, no, that would be good. You know what I'm going to do is let me see if this one will. Yeah, okay, hang on a second. I can schedule it right now if you want to, or do you have access to his calendar? Okay, let me pull it up. And then what I'll do is I'll send you something too. Okay, so we have today's the third, next week, either Tuesday or Thursday. Would either of those days work?
Thursday would be. Oh, I'm looking in July. Sorry. Thursday would be better.
Okay, afternoon.
Yeah, anytime in the afternoon would actually work.
How about at 3 o'clock?
That works.
Perfect. So then I'll send you an invite and you can forward that to your husband if you want him to come on as well, which would make it interesting.
Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to bring up, we're like nowhere near where we need to be on our social media exposure. And we're so our target audience are investors.
Yeah.
How do I refine that? I mean, I have a VA that helps me on posts, but we have like no direction. Just like how you talked about, you're very focused in how you do things. How do I build something?
Organic is very hard. So I would say any energy and any extra resources that you have should be spent on paying to reach the right people. So,
and that would be through an agency, you think, that would do that for me?
you can find a consultant that specializes in, like, are you doing most of your outreach on LinkedIn?
No, we do Facebook, we do Instagram.
Yeah.
We do yes, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, I think are the main ones.
Yeah, like finding a consultant that could do that does paid social ads and giving them a small budget so that like all this content that you're doing and investing in actually reaches the right audience versus like hoping the algorithm finds the people.
Right.
Sometimes like just a little bit of advertising budget and targeted to like people that have high net income, people with certain job titles. If there's geographies, then you basically can boost that content to a more targeted, wider audience. And I think that's probably the best way you could spend any kind of energy.
To start. So a consultant that specializes in paid advertising.
Paid social advertising.
Paid social advertising.
Yeah.
Okay. Then my next question would be, what's the best way of finding somebody like that?
Good question. So there's Upwork, which I sometimes refer people to because an agency will be our agency has like extremely high minimums of media spend. And
Right.
a lot of big agencies will, but if you find just a consultant, you can go on Upwork. You know, is there any, like, are you looking for local, or it could be
I don't think
really?
it, I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think it matters where they're at,
Yeah,
really, because
yeah,
I mean, shoot.
yeah. Do you have money to invest?
Right, yeah,
Yeah, because I was gonna say there are some really great, I know one consultant but they specialize in like local businesses here
yeah.
in Orange County.
But they can reach out. I mean, if somebody specializes, I mean, the reach is national
Yeah,
for us. It doesn't really matter.
yeah. I have like, you know what? I have so there's a guy that rents an office right above ours.
Mhm.
And he does a lot of that kind of stuff, and he's smaller. He might be great to even have on your podcast because he's been around for a while, but he specializes mostly on working with like builders and contractors.
Mhm.
But he's really good at like, and he takes like smaller budgets.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he's a good guy. I'll find his information and I'll email it to you, and you could reach
Okay, yeah, that would be
do an
great.
intro to him.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we can put him on the podcast too, because
Yeah.
it's a different angle, right? That's like good information for our audience.
Yeah, and he only does paid social advertising and search advertising also, which
Okay.
must be kind of an interesting way for you to reach, people
Right,
searching
right.
for specific things.
Yeah. Okay, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, well, I'll look out for that email.
Yeah.
Look out for the link, and then we'll connect again.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Thanks so
right.
much.
Thank
Have a
you.
wonderful day.
You
Sure.
too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Orange County Power Players. Want to share your success story? Apply to be a guest at ocpowerplayers.com/guest.